Hi everybody, this is Riste. I just want to make a quick Season 13 item guide, particularly talking about tank itemization, because that's a big focal point as to how Garen players will be building into this new and upcoming preseason. And I'm getting a lot of questions, particularly everything related to new tank itemization. So in this video, I want to express my thoughts relating to what I think Garen players will be utilizing in Season 13 for success and what to expect with this upcoming tank meta. So like the first thing I probably want to quickly address is that the new tank mythics are pretty insane. Since Garen is a champion that multiplies resistances, he boosts already high gold efficiency on these items. So it's crazy. Garen is a champion who scales relatively well with HP thanks to his passive and W. So it's no wonder why like a lot of Garen players are normally trying to theorycraft with these items, because they just give out a lot of great value. So the first item I wanted to talk about, guys, which is probably my favorite mythic, as you guys may know already, is Heartsteel. Not only does it have the insane ability to go and stack lots of HP, which is something that Garen loves, but also the charge that it provides to be able to gain extra HP is similar to almost a Grasp of the Undying proc, but supercharged. It offers 800 HP right off the bat with 200 base health regen and percent amplification plus 20 ability haste. Also gives 4% increased health and 24% champion size, which is really, really good for frontlining. Now, if Riot Games ever made a change to Garen where the size of his spin would actually scale with his champion model, I think that would be insane. It would be such a great quality of life buff. Well, it's hard for me to say quality of life because that actually would be a pretty substantial buff. But it would actually make tank Garen a lot more viable because this whole champion size modulation would actually play to his strengths. Because if you guys notice, if I'm super tanky here, you guys notice that my sword is actually going outside of the actual spin. So something to consider in the future Riot Games. But let's look at the stats here. I mean, this is a rounded up build. This is the same build I took in my most recent video that you guys can find on my YouTube channel, by the way. But we're sporting 5k HP. I mean, I haven't stacked the passive that much, but we had 6k HP over the course of that last game, I think. I think we also went with Iron Elixir too. So yeah, we had lots of HP there. But also look at the Sterak shield. The Sterak shield is just downright insane. I was covering more than half my health bar with the Spirit Visage amplification. And on top of that too, we were also supercharging the Cold Steel passive from Random Omen, so mitigating 23 damage per auto attack. This is an insanely tanky build, but if you guys notice that even though we're going like super tanky, we still have adequate kill pressure. We still have around 269 AD, which is a little bit on the low side. It's like one of the things that what happened in the video, which brings a little bit of a concern here, is that I did the second least amount of damage on my team. Now, playing the role of like a super front line tanky champion like Garen, that's cool, and also like I'll be probably unkillable in fights. But at the same time, it was getting progressively harder for me to kill people. Now, our target dummy here, guys, has about 120 health. I'm sorry, 120 armor, 120 magic resistance, 700 health. You guys can see how much time I need to put into this target in order to kill it. Let's go in and see here really quickly. So we probably need to commit another auto or two before landing the ultimate there, if you guys notice. So what normally would take 3 seconds of rotation if we had another offensive item is now taking us an additional 1 to 2 seconds. And this could be something like a late game bruiser. This could be a mage. This could be a Rite of Ages mage with like a late game hourglass. This could be a tank Ezreal. So like Garen has to be threatening. So you really are, as you're getting into Season 13, you're really trying to find a good, perfect combination between offensive items and defensive items. And I feel like a build like this as a template is really, really good because we do have amplification to our spins. We have 11 spins. We have lots of damage here. The only thing, though, is because of the room page I was taking here with Phase Rush, I decided to go for Mercury Treads instead of the Berserker Graves, which helped round out my my magic resistance and also gave me tenacity until I was able to form my Iron Elixir. But it also kind of taxed my damage a little bit too. See how we're missing a spin here? So it does affect the build quite a bit, as you guys can see. Now with that one less spin, it's taking me probably an extra auto here to be able to drop that last ultimate. So, you know, if you guys will pay the price if you guys choose to go for tanky Garen. So like I think it could be great in team comps where you're trying to scale really hard, or you just generally trust your team, which can be a really difficult thing in solo queue. But I mean, you guys go down to your individual judgment. Let's also talk about the new Sunfire Cape, though. You know, since we have talked about Sunfire Cape before. So Sunfire Cape is really interesting here because it allows you to go ahead and have an alternate way to proc Phase Rush. As you guys know, in Season 9, this was the old classic way of being able to proc Phase Rush. You would have Bombing Cinder and Q&E in conjunction with those two. In conjunction with Sunfire Cape or Bombing Cinder would allow you to proc Phase Rush in a very, very easy manner here. Since then, it was replaced with Stridebreaker in Season 11. But you guys get the gist of it. Since the item has been bumped down from a Mythic to a Legendary, now it is an attractive pickup. The numbers do seem really, really cool, too. The item base stats are kind of dookie overall, but since the item has increased damage over the course of time, as you go further and further into combat, it really gives Garen an option to go ahead and diversify his damage. You can go ahead and take this type of build into a team comp that's stacking lots of armor. Let's say, for example, you're on a full AD team comp, and you want to go ahead and hybridize Garen's damage further. So that way he has physical damage, true damage, and magic damage. You could technically go ahead and build this item, and you will actually go ahead and have a slowly, progressively stronger accumulation of magic damage there. You guys see how it's climbing the more we're in combat here? It's pretty good. Now, granted, of course, you're not going to do as much magic damage with this build as, you know, pairing it with physical damage. But it does help diversify Garen's damage a bit. You know, if you were to combo this with a Black Cleaver, you would really be able to go ahead and take on full AD team comps while also, you know, being able to reduce their armor. So definitely something to consider there. But again, Sunfire Cape is an item that's prone to its strength of numbers, which means that if Riot Games chooses to nerf this item, then Garen's likelihood of building it subsequently is going to go ahead and fall off a cliff. Yeah, so I feel like that covers that. So what we'll talk about next is probably my favorite personal choice this season. I've been talking about this for a while, guys. You guys need to know about it. It's Randuin's Omen. I personally think that Randuin's Omen is, and could very well be for the rest of this season, the best tank item on Garen. They have reverted the item's critical strike reduction active to being a full-on passive, which reduces all critical strike damage by 20% for its entirety. As long as you have the item in your inventory, it's going to be a mainstay. Which is like downright crazy, because if you're going to be playing versus a like a critical strike heavy team comp, you have like a Tristana who's building like multiple crit items, and you have like paired with a Yasuo mid lane. It's a lot of value. Like versus any type of team comp that's auto attack heavy, you need to pick this item up, because the amount of damage you'll mitigate will go easily into the thousands if you sit on the item for like 15 minutes. It's outstanding. What's also noteworthy, too, is they buffed the active. The active is now 2 seconds and has a really tremendously strong slow, which if you combine with Garen's Silence can provide a really, really powerful tool to be able to peel any precious carry on your team, because the slow is AoE, just like Stridebreaker. They also took 30 armor off the item, but they also reimbursed us with 150 health, which I feel like is so much better of an exchange, because Garen can get armor pretty easily. It's always health he's looking to value, and that extra health goes into other sources. It goes into his W, goes into his passive, goes into his Steric Shield. So trust me, guys, if you guys are playing versus critical strike heavy team comp, or someone that's auto attack heavy, along like so Tryndamere, Ashe, Urgot, that can have multi-splintered attacks, you guys definitely do not want to pass out on this item. You will have insane value with just building Randuin. So I feel like that's really, really good. So next up, well, for mid lane Garen specifically, we probably need to go ahead and address Turbo Chem Tank, because it's a really, really interesting pickup. No longer a mythic, similar to the Sunfire Cape, where we go ahead and put this into our inventory. It has 500 health right off the bat. Like, I want to talk about this really quickly. A legendary item having an active and 500 HP is just pretty insane. So it offers you 50 magic resistance, so no armor. It gives a little bit of ability haste. But the active is really, really good, and I think could be a really great choice versus slippery mages as a rush item potentially, or used basically with Garen mid to be able to flank if he's trying to roam, or just engaging in team fights. I feel like this is going to be a really, really good pickup. Basically, when you're playing versus the equivalent, like this, I feel like is a Randuin's counterpart, because it has the active slow. But if you guys are playing versus a mobility-heavy, mage-heavy team comp like Ryze, LeBlanc, stuff like this, this item could be really good to put into your inventory to be able to help chase down these people. The active is more of an initiation tool. So, like, the big competitor to this item, of course, is going to be Force of Nature. Force of Nature is going to have a little bit of a downside in HP, but it will have that movement speed that's consistent and throughout. So if you have ways to go ahead and lock down your opponent ready, if you're already taking Stride Breaker, chances are that you're already going to go run for this item, Force of Nature already, because not only the movement speed in combat, but also because of the reduced magic damage, of course. So it will be a little bit of a tough choice. When it comes to Garen's itemization choices defensively, you guys are going to have to choose very carefully. You guys have to make sure that the item is accomplishing something and not just fitting on Garen because its stats look good. So try to think critically, guys, because we're going to have a lot more diverse choices this season in terms of defensive options than last season. So something to consider here, guys, for like gap closing, like let's say for your versus Orianna mid lane, Turbo Chemtech can actually be a pretty decent choice. So something to consider there. All right, moving on to the next item here. We probably want to go ahead and talk about Iceborne Gauntlet because I don't know what Riot Games is thinking with the choice of this mythic here, but let's go ahead and just test this out. Yeah, so the AoE slow is a solid 1.5 seconds on cooldown. Yeah, they decided to go ahead and do that. I don't know why. It seems absolutely crazy. I don't expect this cooldown to be staying the way it is forever. I imagine they're going to bump it up to 4 seconds or something like that, because having this on a recurrent 1.5 second cooldown is kind of crazy, without a doubt. And I don't even think Garen's going to be the champion to break this item. It's probably going to be other champions. But if you guys want to go ahead and have a field day with this item, because it's clearly overtuned, you guys can gladly do it. We'll probably talk about another mythic. I've been getting a lot of questions about this so far. The other tank mythic that we're going to be talking about is the, I think it's called the Jaksho, right? Yeah. So on paper, I can see why a lot of Garen players have been asking about this. I can see why a lot of Garen players have been gravitating towards this because, as I said earlier in this video, guys, Garen is a champion who multiplies resistances really easily. The only issue that I don't like about this item is that I don't feel like it accomplishes enough, or it doesn't solve any of Garen's issues. Because Garen's a champion who can get excessive durability very, very easily if he chooses to commit into it. Sacrificing a mythic slot for this, on top of having a subtle drain HP when Garen doesn't even really have super, super high health scaling, you know, beyond his Juggernaut class, which is pretty comparable to everyone else. I feel like this, taking up a mythic slot for this just doesn't feel right. If you wanted something similar to this, you could just get a Stoneplate. Like, Stoneplate would not only be able to multiply your resistances like crazy, minus health, of course, but be able to have a tremendously strong shield active, which might be better for baiting all-ins and such and so forth. Better. All right, guys. So without further ado, I don't want to make this video too long. So I want to go ahead and wrap this up by saying, until Riot gets a firm assessment on what's busted and what's not, try not to invest into these items too hard. You guys want to be able to obviously have fun, try it out, because it's preseason. You guys should be trying this stuff out. But just bear in mind, guys, that none of these items are going to be final in what the numbers are. There's bound to be nerfs left and right. So get your fun in now, guys, before Riot starts swinging the hammer. And who knows? We might see tanky Garen this season. We might see classic Juggernaut, Bruiser, or damage-heavy Garen. It remains to be seen, guys, but just remember that everything is up in the air right now, and keep your expectations open. Until then, enjoy the preseason, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later. Demacia.